Good morning. Hi, everyone on YouTube. And we are live with our week 13 of our Deep Ministries weekly live stream. So glad to have you. How to build trust. Cool. We're just going to get everything set up over here on YouTube so that we can start our stream to my page. My page where everybody, not everybody, because obviously some of you are watching on here, but where lots of people watch. We've got 1 minute until it is, until we begin. Here we are. Stuff, share this, embed. One of these days, I'll have this so down that it'll be like easy peasy lemon squeezy. And then after that, I won't be doing it anymore because I'll have someone else to do it for me. Okay, so we'll hit go on here, which means that we should now be live on our streaming page. Yay! Good morning, everybody who's watching from our streaming page. Happy to have you. Let me go ahead and let everybody in here. Admit all. Woot woot. And it is time to begin. Good morning, everybody. Hi. Welcome. I'm so happy to have you. To the cloud, thank you for joining me in our Zoom room. I super appreciate you for being live here. Karen, Lena, Ita, Kim, Leah. Kim, I'm so happy that you can make it today. I will get back to you on when I'm back at work. I owe you a message. But for those of you who haven't joined me live, make sure that you locate the chat box, which is, let's go live on the rest of our channels. And we'll go live here on Insta. Hi, good morning, everybody on Instagram. And then the last thing I just want to check before we get rolling. Boom. And we are live on Facebook. Hi. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our weekly live stream of Deep Ministries. Deep Ministries, DEP, stands for Divine Evolutionary Path. Now, what is the Divine Evolutionary Path? It is practical steps rooted in spirit that are walking you to your divine life of ease, evolving abundance. Your evolved life of ease and abundance. I knew I would get there. It took a second. I'm only halfway through my coffee. So, hi, how are you? So what we do here is on a weekly basis. Good morning, darling Jen. On a weekly basis, I am teaching the philosophies of this practical path, these simple steps that anybody can take, leading you to your evolved life of ease and abundance. Now, that might not be for everyone. Not everybody is interested in growth. Not everybody is interested in abundance. Not everybody wants to or is willing to do the work that it is going to require to get you to this space. But if you do, the rewards are fucking amazing, endless. Peace of heart, peace of mind, trusting that everything is working for you, that everything is designed to support you, never needing anything because your needs are consistently met, right? And that's not to say that you're not going to have any challenges. This is not like How to avoid humaning 101. No, we're not trying to avoid humaning, but we are accumulating knowledge and tools that will help us live our very best life. Hi, Mom. Welcome. So that's Deep Ministries. Our education portion is teaching these practical steps. I have classes that do the actual work, that walk you through the actual work part. So this is just the teaching. We have classes that actually help you do the work, so you don't have to try to sit there and do it by yourself. And then the other part of Deep Ministries is that we're a nonprofit, and we have 7 initiatives, 4 global initiatives, 3 on the ground initiatives. We're going to be busy. And our first local initiative is to create transitional housing for children that are aging out of foster care, just because they usually, I don't say they usually end up in jail. 65% of kids who have aged out of foster care end up homeless within 18 months. And of everybody who is incarcerated, about 80% of people came up through the system. And it just kind of makes sense because they've got nowhere to go, right? So where do they go? They go to the streets. And then what do? They look for someone to take them in. And who is that? Usually like gangs and stuff like that, right? So that's what Deep Ministry is about. Who am I? I am obviously Abby Levine, and I started my career as a hypnotherapist. So that's how I began, and it was actually to heal my own trauma. And then as I fell in love, became obsessed with healing, I just acquired and accumulated various other healing modalities, including Reiki, angel communication, neurolinguistic programming, timeline therapy, and things like that create this quantum healing effect for my clients and for my students who are in my group program. Most recently, I was a money mindset coach, and within a period of 3 years, was able to walk my clients to making almost $1 billion during the pandemic. And most of them started at less than $5,000 a month, which is crazy, but we're on this expansive part of the journey. We're incorporating all of the steps, not just money mindset, because even though money tends to be the thing that people prioritize, it tends to be the thing that people are most needing or searching for, I think we can agree that money is not the most important thing in life. In fact, as you get deeper and deeper, get it? So many puns available. As you get deeper into this path of Deep Ministries, you start to realize that money is one of the least important things. Now, because we live in a 3D world where we have agreed to a fiduciary system of operating, so we pay money for our rent and for food and things like that, there is always going to be an aspect of us that's going to have to work within this current system that uses money to pay for our needs. And because those things that we use money for cover our basic survival needs, when we have scarcity around money, when we have fear around money, when we don't have a great relationship with money, money starts to become a focal point in our lives. And we forget about the more important things about being alive, like, I don't know, living, generating, creating connection, experiencing how this planet is, our evolution, our growth, finding peace, helping others. All these really important reasons that we exist have nothing to do with money at all. However, when we have any kind of scarcity, good morning, Lindsay, when we have any kind of scarcity around money, money shifts to the forefront. Money becomes the most important. And we forget about living. Good morning, Terry. Hi, Ames. Aw, I hope you're doing well, sweet girl. So nice to see you. So even though money is one of the least important things that exist on this planet, it has become, the dollar sign is the most powerful symbol that exists to mankind. And that's worldwide, which is so fascinating, right? Is that even countries that don't use dollars still have a deep unconscious association with the dollar sign to represent money. So because money becomes the forefront of our view and we forget to live because of it, and we get sidetracked because of it, and fear, anxiety, these emotions are the biggest culprits that contribute to the lowering of the vibration of planet Earth, fear and anxiety. And through numerous polls, it has been found that the majority of people, and that's not to say that if you don't have this, that there's something wrong with you. It means you've simply evolved out of it sooner than the rest of mankind. But the majority of people are most anxious and most fearful around money. So our fears and our anxieties around money are negatively contributing to the lower vibration of planet Earth. So even though money is one of the least important things, because of how important it has become to humanity, money mindset is important. That's why it's track 1 within Deep Ministries. Now, there's various different tracks. There are actually 9 different tracks that have a focus on different things. Like track 1 is dissolving poverty mindset. Track 2 is managing emotions, including depression and anxiety. Track 3 is self-mastery, right? So there's lots of different tracks and they're all for different things. Self-mastery / discipline, the dreaded D word. But that's why money mindset is track 1, not because money is so important. No, because the fear and anxiety that exists around money is bringing down the vibration of our planet. And so the goal is to get everybody in alignment. I mean, anybody who wants to, I can't say everybody, because some people have no desire to get into alignment with money, right? No desire to get into an easy, effortless relationship. But for those people who do have a desire to get into an easy, effortless relationship with money, then we can take money, we can put it out of the front center focal point, right? You don't have to obsess about it anymore. You don't have to worry about it anymore. You don't have to be anxious about it anymore. You take it, you put it over there. Then what do you get to focus on? Oh, all of the good stuff. Your healing, your purpose, coming back to yourself, rediscovering yourself, right? All of the delicious and yummy stuff, your experiences, helping others, your evolution, all of the reasons that you are here on planet Earth. When you can take money and set it aside, then that's what gets to dominate your view. And how do you set money aside? You get into trust with it. You clear your limiting beliefs around it. You get into alignment with the vibration of money so that it is no longer an issue. It's no longer an issue. It becomes a non-issue. So we've been talking about dissolving poverty mindset for quite a few weeks now, and we just hit the point of trust. For those of you who saw the email, if you're on the Zoom, then you're aware why we're here today. We started talking about trust a couple weeks ago before we did the Oscar Angels. Today we're going to start talking more about how to build trust in general, specifically by not accumulating any more reinforcing events. That was super jargony, so I'm gonna talk about that in layman's terms. If you're not a jargon person, what does that mean? It means that we're going to talk openly about how to stop doing the things that are creating more distrust, whether that's in people, in creator or your higher power, if you have one, and in yourself. Okay. Now, the really interesting thing about this topic, by the way, the divine evolutionary path steps, the deep ministry steps, were given to me directly from beings of light. I didn't create them. I didn't make them up. My angels essentially just handed them to me and said, these are the next steps that humanity needs to take in order to evolve and get into alignment with our, as a planet, next evolution, humanity's next evolution. So the steps work for everyone, and it's the same steps for everyone. It's just that everybody's going to have a different process because we all have different trauma, different limiting beliefs around each of the various steps, if that makes sense. But yeah, anyway, back to trust. I have been like digging my heels in around really building out this part of track one. And I wasn't really sure why until yesterday. I asked my team, can we just skip trust? Can we just skip it? So boring. So boring. Like, it's so hard. So hard to trust. Like, there's so many events that, just consistently undo, unwind our trust in ourselves and our trust in other people and our trust in, the divine. And I was like, let's just skip it. Can we just move on to something else? Because I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not feeling it. It's the conversation we had yesterday. And my team said, no. Under no circumstances can you skip trust. And I was like, oh, okay. Tell me more. What else? What else? Why? Why can't we? This is so boring. I'm just not feeling it, right? Wine. And here's the truth that they told me. It's if we want to have this life of this evolved life of ease and abundance, trust is an integral part of that. If you don't trust yourself, you will not take the steps. You will not move forward. You will not coordinate, link arms with the people around you that you're supposed to collaborate with. Because why? Because you don't trust others. You won't keep your heart open because you will assume that will cause pain. And I'm not saying it's not going to. When you have an open heart, yeah, we're much more likely to be hurt. But guess what? If you keep your heart closed, it is a certainty that you will be hurt. Because a life with a closed heart, with no connection, is a deeply, deeply lonely life to experience. And in order to open our heart, we have to trust that we're going to be okay. We have to trust that we're going to be able to hold ourselves. We're going to trust that we're going to be able to follow intuition. We have to trust our intuition. Will we take steps? Trusting our higher power. Will we be caught? Even though I don't know how this situation, whatever fill in the blank situation it is, even though I don't know how this situation is going to resolve itself, do you promise higher power that I will still be okay? Do you promise that I will still survive, thrive, live that life that I want, right? All of these things that are further on in our conversation with dissolving poverty mindset and building an abundant mindset. All of these parts cannot exist without trust. They're like, if you're not going to teach trust, you might as well just stop teaching deep ministries. You might as well just stop teaching these steps. You can't move beyond it. Now, does that mean if you don't trust within the next 4 to 5 weeks that you're a lost cause? No, of course not. This entire thing is a process. It's a journey, right? We're not here from now until, like a year later, and then we're going to, be our highest evolved self. The process of living, the whole thing is a journey. We'll be done with this process of evolution when we die, okay? You're never going to be done. Hey, Savi, good morning. So you're going to be healing and learning and reinforcing and tripping and falling and getting back up and dusting yourself off and practicing more trust and learning to let go, etc., etc. Okay, so this whole thing is a path. You're not going to master it within the next 5 weeks. So it's okay if we get like 5 weeks down the road and you're like, well, I still don't trust myself. Oh, well, I should probably let that go. No, don't do that. Keep going, keep moving forward, keep progressing, keep working on it. All righty. Good. Okay, so we talked about the first step before you build trust. You have to clear the emotions. 2 weeks ago, your homework was clear your emotions around trust. Yay, Savi received money this morning. Whoop, whoop. So if you haven't done that yet, wherever you are watching from, go to my link and go and watch. What do I do with these pesky emotions? So if you're watching on Instagram or Twitter or LinkedIn, you're going to find that link, or Facebook, you're going to find that in my bio, my link to all those classes. Okay. So go watch that. Clear your heavy emotions around trust in general, but specifically around trusting money, because that is what we are doing here. We're in track 1, dissolving poverty mindset. But definitely, if you have the bandwidth to clear your trust in general, clear the emotions around trusting, like with people, with events, with creator. Good morning, Marvin. How are you? Then I highly recommend that you do it for all the emotions around trust. If you can start with a clean blank canvas, building your trust is going to be much easier, much more doable than trying to like navigate all of these sticky, icky emotions like shame and guilt. So yes, that's step 1. Got to do that first. But you can continue along with the things I'm going to teach you today and go back and clear your emotions around trust. Okay. So the next portion, the next part of this is to stop accumulating events that are reinforcing a lack of trust. Okay. So stop doing things that are making you trust less, that are making your distrust higher. We're going to go through like what some of those things tend to be, and then I'll give you some ideas of the how am I going to do that? Holy shit balls, like, man, it's a lot. And then in April, our classes are designed to build trust in creator, build trust in others, build trust in yourself, and open up your receiving centers. And so far, all of the classes available in April are free. So you're welcome to join them. And by the way, like, that's only because I just don't have the capacity to put together my system of charging. This is not normally something I do. I charge lots of money for my courses. I charge $2,000 to $5,000 for my classes. So since the classes are available for free at this moment, I highly recommend jumping in. And even when they do become available, they will be available for a pay what you can, because they're supporting my nonprofit. So it's very exciting. Cool. So step number 1, or suggestion number 1 for how to stop reinforcing your lack of trust, is detach from outcomes. Detach from outcomes. Yeah, an easy sentence to say, a very, very difficult thing to do. Crystal says, ouch. Yes, Savi, they're so worth it. So worth it. So true. So what does being attached to an outcome look like? Well, being attached to an outcome looks like, this is what I want to manifest. And I really, 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 really want it to come true, or need it to come true, or this is what has to happen, or I will do whatever it takes to ensure that this thing happens. And if it doesn't, I will be wildly disappointed, frustrated, enraged, deeply depressed, grieving, right? So having attachment to an outcome creates tremendous suffering. But even beyond that, when you have an attachment to an outcome that does not happen, you reinforce your lack of trust in yourself. This is what I said it was going to happen. This is what I tried to make happen. This is what I was expecting. And it didn't happen. Therefore, I can't do it. I don't have the skills. I don't have the je ne sais quoi, the whatever other people who can make this thing happen have. I don't have that, right? And then it also reinforces your lack of trust in your higher power, whether that's God, creator, intuition, angels, Jesus, other ascended masters, just energy, the universe, the cosmos. Terry says, ooh, that hits home. Yeah. When we have an expectation of how things should go, when we are attached to the outcome, then when the outcome doesn't happen, because when we create attachments, guys, they're mostly arbitrary. Sometimes we can get intuitive hits as to what we feel is coming down the line, just to give us some sense of direction. And those are always super awesome, super well received over here. But they usually show up as suggestions. Yes, Kimberly, yes. Expectations equal disappointment. They do. They do, because expectations, hi Mara, expectations are arbitrary. They are completely arbitrary. They are made up in this fun place, in our creativity, in our mind, and they are usually based in trauma. Our expectations are usually based on our limiting beliefs and our trauma, right? So this practice of detaching from the outcome. Hi, Jen. Good morning. This practice of detaching from the outcome brings a freedom and a peace of heart and mind that is difficult to get from any other place. Just releasing attachment to the outcome. Now, how, right? That's nice. Yeah, okay, cool, Abby. That's such a great idea. I should release attachment to the outcome. That's awesome. Thank you for saying those words. Well, saying the words and having that aha, having that shift is not going to help you actually do the thing. So let me give you just a little tool. And this tool is actually going to be quite effective to help you release attachment to any kind of controlling behavior that you have. But this is when I find myself in a loop with an attachment, whether that's to an outcome, an expectation, the idea that I can control a person, a place, an event, the way that things are going to unfold, that I can control the timing, someone else's emotions. Whenever I get stuck in this loop of thinking that I can do anything about anything outside of myself, literally, I do this little tool, this little process. So if you're not driving, then you can definitely close your eyes with me as we do this little process. I find it very helpful. You might need to tweak it. Not everything that works for me and others is going to work for you exactly. If you need to tweak it, definitely do. But so I take the thing that I have an attachment to, especially an attachment to an outcome, and I imagine it as some kind of item that I can grip. So for me, it's usually like a tennis ball. But in this instance, whatever the attachment is, so let's say that I'm hoping for a certain outcome with a client. I really, really, really want this client to have a breakthrough or to have the results that they're looking for, but a specific result. I'll think of that client with the thing that I'm trying to control or coerce or manipulate, and I'll picture it as a tennis ball. And then this is kind of weird, it's kind of creepy, but I imagine my brain is actually a hand, and it looks like, you know, if my brain was a hand, it's like a brain, but it has fingers. And I imagine my brain gripping onto this thing, onto this bowl that hi, Rochelle, that I'm thinking of, and I grip it as hard as I can with my brain hand. So my brain is a hand and it's holding on to this attachment, this tennis ball, and I grip, and I keep gripping, literally until I cannot grip any longer. Grip, just like, ooh, holding on tight. And then when I feel like that brain hand is exhausted, boom, I'll release it. Whew. Shoo. Sometimes if it keeps coming back, if it keeps trying to loop back in, I'll throw it. So I don't just release it. Like I'll grip, and then throw it. And then it's gone. And sometimes it's gone for just a moment and then it circles back in again, and that's okay. I do the same thing. Grip, throw. Grip, throw. Especially if it comes back in a couple different times, then I'm throwing it harder. Then I'm like blasting the thing with like, you know, like a flamethrower, dissolving it energetically. Lots of different stuff. But sometimes all I have to do is just let go and it floats off like a cloud and it's gone. And then I bring in something in its place. And that's something that I usually bring in its place is surrender. What will be, will be. What will be, will be. I don't control that person. I don't control the timing. I don't control this government body or this organization. I don't control someone else's emotions or thoughts or perceptions about me. I don't control someone else's choices, their behaviors, things like that. So just that reminder of surrender and the fact that the only thing that I control is me. Terry, I totally agree. Terry says surrender is a beautiful word, and I absolutely agree. It is. It brings innately, so the word surrender for me just brings so much peace. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with the concept of what we're talking about when we say surrender, we don't mean I give up, I stop trying. Like that's not what surrender means. Surrender doesn't mean I am powerless. No. That's not what surrender is. Surrender doesn't mean somebody else do it for me, I'm helpless. No, That's not what surrender means. Surrender means on a deep, deep level, you understand that the only thing that you control is yourself and your actions, and you cannot force anything outside of yourself. Good morning, Alex. How are you? So that's what surrender really means. And it comes with this just deep, divine peace. Okay. So detaching from outcomes. When you detach from an outcome, you are not reinforcing your historic lack of trust in Creator, in yourself, in other people. I had a client, right? And this happens frequently. I had a client who set a pretty aggressive goal for themselves. And they hit it, of course, which is amazing because it was aligned. So they set that aggressive goal for themselves and they hit it. But because they had expected to hit it within a certain time frame, in their mind, they failed because it wasn't within that time frame. So they took on an additional sense of failure. Well, before our session, when I found that out, and then that shit was vamoosed right out of the fucking way because no, you do not disqualify your results while I'm around. But yeah, that was so fascinating to me that they created unconsciously created suffering for themselves because they had an expectation to hit this goal within a certain time period. And because they were weeks outside of it, failure. Instead of, you know that phrase like shoot for the moon and if you miss, you'll land among the stars? Well, instead of like hitting the moon, just like maybe 2 weeks later than you expected to hit the moon, instead of hitting the moon, they perceived themselves as not having hit the moon, that they landed among the stars. And I was like, whoa, no. So that's just one example of how attaching to outcomes. Make sure to keep yourselves muted, darlings. Because we are live streaming from the Zoom room all across the social medias. Thank you so much. Cool. So yeah, so that's how having attachment to outcomes can reinforce lack of trust and create unnecessary suffering. Kimberly's this beautiful vision of hands gripping on the surrender with arms wide open. Oh, you're so welcome, darling Kim. Okay, next thing that you can do, hi, Shell, in order to stop reinforcing your lack of trust, right? Because it's one thing to clear your emotions around the events that created lack of trust. It's another whole thing entirely to stop creating more events that keep teaching you that you can't trust, that it's not safe to trust. So is releasing control. We just talked about this a little bit. Releasing control over everything, over events, over outcomes, over people, over other people's emotions, over other people's choices, their behaviors. Releasing control. And most of the time, at least for anybody who's drawn to me specifically, most of the time when we're trying to control, it's either because we're trying to have safety and security, or we're trying to bring peace to someone else. We're trying to bring, or we're trying to help someone release trauma or chaos in their lives. It's usually coming from a beautiful place. It's not coming from this like this place where we want to be an autocrat and control the entirety of society because that is just what gets us off. No, the tendency to control others doesn't. Very cool. Good to know, man. Good to know. It doesn't necessarily come from that place. It comes from a beautiful place of love, of caring, of compassion, of a desire for people to have less pain, a desire to protect yourself. That's usually where the tendency to try to control comes from. So, across the board, the sooner you can integrate this truth into your life, the sooner you can release the intense frustration, anger, resentment, irritation that builds from trying to control things that you cannot control. And what comes in its place? When you release the tendency to try to control things that you cannot control, what comes in its place is peace, energy. When you're not constantly obsessing about how to get this person to do this thing or how to make this thing that you desire happen, when you're not constantly using your energy in thought cycles like that, you've got so much like energetic bandwidth available for other things. Like I pivoted and started thinking about my health, started doing things that were health related, which before I simply did not have the capacity to, because my bandwidth was stretched to its maximum capacity. So releasing control over everything but yourself. The only thing that you control are your thoughts, your emotions, your behavior, your choices, your responses, your reactions, the narratives that you create when events happen. This event happened, therefore it must mean that you have control over that process, okay? But everything else outside of that, you do not. You do not have control over your partner, your spouse, your friends, your children. You cannot control a single soul. Now, we sometimes think we control our kids because we set rules and we have, consequences and boundaries and things like that. And that is necessary. It's a necessary part of their growth. But we can sometimes misperceive that that means that we have control over them. We don't. They are just choosing to comply. That is their choice. They can choose to listen, choose to honor, choose to respect, or they can choose not to. We don't control them. We don't make them. We don't force them. We can't reach into their brains and twiddle around with some knobs and make their arms do this and make their voices say this. Like we just don't. We can't. We can't do it with anyone. Even with my psychic capacities and capabilities, even though I can climb into someone else's head as long as I have permission. Well, I don't need permission, but it would be breaking the ethical law without permission. But even though I can do that, look out through someone's eyes, can like tweak a little place in their brain here, like trigger off this emotion here, do all kinds of things. I can't control anybody. People turn their brains over to me and say, here, do something with this, please, right? And even I can't. There is no one and nothing on this planet that you can control. And as soon as you integrate that as a truth, it's such a relief, because then the only thing you control are your boundaries, your choices, what you do to navigate your situations, how you choose to interact with the world. It actually, when you stop trying to control anything that you don't have control over, it puts you so deep in a seat of empowerment and choices. It feels so dang good to know that you can free up your energy and attention to focus just right here. And that doesn't mean necessarily that you're now going to become like self-centered. It just means that you're not going to stop trying to control everything. I need everybody. Stop trying to control timing. Stop trying to control this set of people or that group of people. You're just like, oh, okay, cool. Can't do anything. So meh. Not my circus, not my monkeys. And that becomes a deep truth. It's like, not my lane, not my life, not my circus. When people create messes and chaos for themselves, you can let them handle their proverbial music. You can let them face their proverbial music. You can let them experience the choices, the consequences of their choices. How else will they learn? When you do it for them or try to do it for them, you rob yourself of the ability to heal. Yes, Kim, step away from the drama triangle. Yes, if someone is trying to make you a rescuer because they are helpless as a victim, just step away. If someone is trying to make you a perpetrator, you don't have to sit there and prove why you're not the perpetrator. You don't have to sit there and become the perpetrator. Just step away. You don't have to move into the helplessness position of the victim. You can step away. Nah, I choose not to participate in this cycle. Thank you for your kind offer. I'm good. And you just do that simply by not engaging. And it's a practice. But when you try to control things that are outside of your control, you reinforce your lack of trust within yourself because you will never be successful. You will never be successful. And so the stories that will be created after you are not successful will reinforce that lack of trust. So releasing control over things that you don't control is a very quick way to stop reinforcing lack of trust in yourself. Stop trying to force things to change or go the way that you think they should. When you try to force things to change or go the way that you think they should and fail, because you inevitably will, because the way that you think things should happen is arbitrary. It's a story that was created in your mind. When you do that and fail, you will lose trust in yourself, lose trust in others, lose trust in Creator, right? So what does it look like if you're trying to force something to happen or go the way that you think? Well, with others, it looks like either thinking or telling them, you should do it this way. With others, you should do it this way. You should, no, don't do that. You're hurting yourself. Do it this way. You should do it this way. You're trying to force others to do something that you think is best. Just because it was best for you does not mean that it's best for them. Do you see what I mean when I say when we try to control others, it's not because necessarily we want to have control. It's because we care about them. We want them to stop hurting. We want them to get out of pain, right? Sometimes we use emotion to try to force others to do something the way or to do what we think they should do. And when I'm saying emotion, I'm not just talking about the shaming or the blaming or the berating or the disapproval. I'm talking about positive reinforcement. When they do what we think they should do, we give them approval. That's still grooming. We use charm, charisma. We use gifts or some other kind of passive coercion in order to get them to do what we want. Now, it's not that we cannot make suggestions. It's not that we cannot help people. But when we keep bringing it back up and keep bringing it back up and keep bringing it back up, now we're moving into forcing. So it's one thing to make sure, like, you know, like if you have a friend, like it's one thing to make sure that your friend has seen all the, like maybe you're not seeing this. Are you seeing this bit? Are you seeing this bit? It's one thing to like be a mirror for someone that you love deeply or your spouse. But it's another thing entirely that once they've acknowledged that you keep bringing it up. When you keep bringing it up, it's because you are trying to get them to do that thing or get them to do the thing in the way that you think they should. Oh my God. That is a mindless game of futility. So when you're trying to force a creator to do what you want, force the universe to do what you want, it's when you step in the way and you're obsessing about it and you're trying to figure it out and you get like mad scientisty about it, trying to break down all the different aspects. And you're like, well, maybe if things go this way, or maybe if I just do this set of things, then I can create that response from the universe. Or if I just follow the exact right steps, meditate for 20 minutes a day, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to work on my relationship with money, then creator, then will you? Then, right? So it's not that it's bad to do these things. It's that when we have an attachment to the outcome and we're doing it with the expectation that we can force or control the timing or the way that it comes out, that's when we create suffering for ourselves by trying to force it to happen. Stop. So we've talked about this a lot, because this comes up a lot in my work specifically, is trying to control the timing of the thing. It does not mean that you cannot have an idea of timing. If you have a goal and you want to kind of create that goal for this year, sometimes frequently we need that direction in order to match our behavior with what our goal is. Right? Like, okay, well, if I want to create this within this period of time or manifest this within this period of time, where does my work lie within this? Okay, that means I have to step up this behavior. That means I need to clear a space over here. That means I need to manage my time in this particular way. Okay. So it's not that we can't have a time goal. Sometimes, often we need one. But if it must happen within that given timing, in order for that desire to be satisfied, or for that need to be satisfied, or that goal to be satisfied, and if you don't do it within that timing, now you've failed. Now you have created a whole additional series of events that reinforce your lack of trust in yourself. Also, you're creating a whole series of events that reinforce your lack of trust in the universe, in creator, in God, whatever your higher power idea is. When you attach or try to force or control the timing, you are building more distrust. We've got to knock it off, right? And this manifests sometimes, not so much anymore, but I used to always get this in my life. People used to try to control my timing of evolution, of growth, of healing. And they would say things like, you're so, and I think they thought it was a compliment, right? Or encouraging. But they would say things like, you're so fill in the blank. Smart, wise, motivated, goal-oriented, action-oriented, blah, 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 blah. You're so fill in the blank. Why aren't you here yet? What's going on? Why haven't you done this? This is part of your destiny. You're so this. Why aren't you here? Man, that shit pisses me off. And my response to them is always loving kindness, right? Because I understand where they're coming from. They want the absolute best for me. They admire me. They want me to have everything I want. They want me to be treated everything in the way that I deserve, et cetera, right? So it's coming from a place of deep love. But what it does is it rushes my timing and invalidates my process. Because I am on my own divine unfolding journey. I'm not in a rush. I understand that I don't have a deadline to get to. I understand that the end of my path is death. And until then, I'm going to unfold in exactly my own way, in my own timing, right? And so it's so fascinating to be aware of how sometimes we think we're helping people by saying things like this, and we're actually invalidating them. Or we are disqualifying the work that they have done, or the space that they're in, or the emotions that they have, right? And so it's not that we don't want for them. Just be careful when you try to control someone else's timing, because you're invalidating their journey in the process. Just because your journey looks differently does not mean in any way, shape, or form they are supposed to follow your footsteps. Society has a set of beliefs and programs set up. Just because someone might operate outside of those beliefs or systems does not make them invalid, does not make their process invalid, does not make their journey invalid. Be careful of trying to control other people's timing. Stop expecting people to change because you think that they should. You will lose trust in them. Stop trusting unworthy people, untrustworthy people. There are some people who are untrustworthy. So increase your discernment. Honor and manage and grow your boundaries. Leave situations that are hurting you. Take responsibility for your behavior, for the illusions that you create in your own mind, for your delusions, for your choices to stay where you are. Take responsibility for that. You are a powerful being. You are empowered to make changes any moment that you decide, and that moment can be right fucking now. And if you choose not to, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But you do have to take responsibility for the fact that that choice is yours and yours alone. And it can be a passive choice, right? It might just be simply not taking action. Or it might be taking action that is not aligned with the creation of the thing that you're trying to create. It doesn't lead you to where you're going. It's simply busy work, right? Releasing expectations. Lao Tzu, I'm going to abbreviate, I'm not going to quote him directly, but he said, expectations are the root of all human suffering. And so with each of these things that you can stop doing, right? You can use the brain squeezy release technique. You can be practicing detachment in that way, right? And it works with anything. If you are attached to something, you can release that thing. And it's loving detachment. It's not, get the fuck out of here. It's not that. It's, I don't need you. It's not that. It's, I don't need anybody, or I can do this without you. It's not that. It is, oh, I love you. And I understand that I am powerless to do anything about the situation. I lovingly detach. I turn it over. Mantras. What will be, will be. That's one that has very much helped me. A friend recently pointed out it still creates an expectation that something will be, but it at least allows me to detach from the now, from that obsessive part of like being in the now, and move beyond. The Serenity Prayer. Oh, the Serenity Prayer is a beautiful mantra to bring into your life. And we're going to do it within our like little couple minutes of meditation. So I'll say it then. Cultivate a realistic view of what you can control. And I say cultivate because the idea that you can control anything outside of yourself is deeply rooted in your programming. And that's okay. That's just what is. So you're going to have to cultivate, develop a realistic view of what you can control, which is only yourself, emotions, behaviors, actions, and that is it. That's all. If you notice yourself forcing something, forcing a situation, trying to force a person, trying to manipulate or coerce or beg or plead or emotionally appeal to, if you notice yourself trying to force something, stop. Just stop in the middle. Boom. If you're mid-sentence, oh, no, I will not try to force anymore. If you notice yourself trying to set a timing, try to release it. Or you can also say to yourself, okay, my goal is to reach this thing within this given set of time. However, if it doesn't happen by then, that is also okay. So just tag a little bit of it's okay if it doesn't, to open up your permission to not attach devoutly to that timing. However, this one needs a trust in divine timing, and for that you need to be able to trust your higher power. So that one's going to be a struggle for a minute until you get into trust with your higher power, with God, the universe, creator, however you perceive that energy. If indeed you perceive that energy at all, you might not, and that's also totally fine. If you notice yourself trying to force people to change, stop. If you get an intuitive hit about something, well, we're going to go deeper into this when we talk about cultivating trust, but practice following your intuitive hits. All righty, my darling. So let's go ahead and take a moment. If you're not driving, then go ahead and close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths. Open your heart. If you don't know what open your heart means, just imagine there's a door over the center of your chest and then just open that door. If it's locked, you have the key. So just find the key, find the thing, use a blowtorch, use an explosive, open the door. And any heaviness that's sitting right on top, just breathe it through. Just settling your mind, creating a space for yourself here within. And we're going to, I'm just going to say the Serenity Prayer and you can repeat it out loud. That helps me. Or in your mind. And this is an appeal to your higher power, whether that's your higher self, your intuition, the angels, your team, ascended masters, God, universe, creator. Grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. Take a breath. It's not easy, and it's okay that it's not easy. The courage to change the things I can. Take a breath. Breathe through any fear that comes up with that idea of having to have courage to change those things that you can. And the wisdom to know the difference. Coming back to the body, back to the now. Open your eyes. Hello, welcome back. All right, my darlings. So we're actually going to skip the live online healing portion today because I have an inordinate amount of things to do today and a very small amount of time within which to do it. But we're going to pick back up our live online healing next week. You do have to be in the Zoom room to qualify for our live online healing. So watch your email, hop on next week with us in Deep Ministries. This week, the free class that we have, it's called, I don't know. I forgot. Let me find it. It's hard to trust anyone or anything. Oh, you're so welcome, Chris. It's hard to trust anyone or anything. It's at 1:30 p.m. PST, Pacific Standard Time on Tuesday. If you're on my email list, you will receive the link to join the class. Go ahead and just hop in. Would love to have you. If you're not on my email list, go to my bio, and it says sign up to watch Deep Ministries and classes or something like that. Hop on my email list so you can get the link to the classes. So much love to you. Thank you for joining. We're moving into some really dense and heavy stuff. Nobody knows. Nobody thinks it. When you're moving into money mindset, it feels like, oh, all I have to do is clear out my it's so easy. It's so light. No, the shit is fucking dense, man. It's dense. It's intense. It's uncomfortable. Sometimes it's downright fucking painful. So the fact that you are here and the fact that you're present and the fact that you're willing to take these steps is a huge point of celebration. And I'd like you to witness that right now I'm giving you positive affirmations for behavior that I'd like you to continue, but not in an effort to force or try to control or coerce you, just because you deserve to be recognized for the things that are unseen. This work happens below the surface. It's not seen. The shifts and changes that happen, they're so small, but huge, but they just don't get seen, so they don't get recognized. I see you. I honor you. The light in me sees and honors the light in you. So glad you were here today, Ames. Thank you for being here, Miss Kim. Happy to see you. Love, 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 Miss Shell and everyone. It was so good to see you, Kimberly. Glad you could join. And Rochelle and Mara and everybody who's watching on Facebook, Savi, Lindsay, everybody who's watching from our streaming page and from YouTube and from LinkedIn and Twitter and all of the different places. Thank you for joining. I'll see you next week.